Hi everyone, my name is Patty, and here at My Healing Gut, I wanted to talk to you a little bit today about some of the lessons I learned when I first started trying to quit sugar around 3 years ago, and how I managed to change my ability to quit sugar over the last year since I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. So let's go into that. First of all, in the beginning, when I first started hearing about quitting sugar and what sugar did to my body, I was originally in a state of pretty good health. Around 2 years ago, I was pretty normal in terms of what I did. I ate sweets in moderation, I feel, but sweets for me was something that I ate maybe 2 or 3 times during the week. Not that it was every single day, and it's not like I sat down and had like a piece of cake every single day, but I know that I definitely ate more sweets than I definitely do now for sure. And another case was that I wasn't really paying attention to how I felt after I ate it, and also even though I would feel sick or I wouldn't feel necessarily very happy, I was also socially obliged to eat a lot of desserts because me and some of my girlfriends a few years ago were constantly going out and to have cakes, tea, and really just to have like a bubble tea or something after maybe a session out with them. Lesson time. When it first comes to trying to quit sugar, there was a few things that in the first few years of trying to quit sugar, I just didn't do right. And I'll tell you in the beginning, 3 years ago, I think I did a 30 days of quitting sugar, and that sort of worked. It didn't really have any huge problems for me, and I was initially thinking, oh my gosh, that's so amazing, 30 days of not eating sugar. But after the 30 days of not eating sugar, I went straight back into old habits, and I was still eating things like chocolate. I was still eating things like ice cream. I would still eat my parents' baked goods, or I would go out with girlfriends and have bubble tea or something like that. So my eating habits didn't change, and that was a complete failure of my efforts when I first tried quitting sugar. Now, after a year of eating refined sugar-free, there are some really important things that I know that I learned from the past 3 years that I needed to implement into this year. And because I did, it was really successful, and I was able to maintain it for a whole year, and I will continue to maintain it for the rest of my life as much as possible. So what are these lessons? First of all, support. Support is a really big key factor when it comes to quitting sugar. Unlike other types of diets in which people are going to support you and go, oh wow, good on you for trying to change your life. Quitting sugar, people get really defensive about first and foremost. People love their sugar, and it's almost a celebrated aspect of many of our lives. We use it in cakes, which are a celebration of birthdays or occasions or anniversaries. We have it in a lot of after meals as a sort of good job, you finished the meal sort of vibe to it. We often eat it out of boredom. We often eat sugar when we are maybe emotionally upset about something. When we eat sugar, it's often a sense of an emotional attachment to something else. And that's what makes quitting sugar really, really difficult. So if you don't have that sort of support network around you of people going, yeah, you're quitting sugar, that's fantastic, then you're not going to find it's easy to do so. And that's something that I definitely felt when I first started 3 years ago, when I told people, hi, I'm going to try and quit sugar. A lot of people were like, why are you doing this? Is there something wrong? And at that time, I didn't have my diagnosis, and I couldn't tell them, maybe I just want to not eat sugar. That was dealt with a lot of very almost skepticism from a lot of people that I knew, because for a lot of people, that meant that maybe I was being rude by not wanting to eat their cake. Was I maybe not wanting to hang out with them and do that activity that they wanted to invite me to, which otherwise I would normally join them? For a lot of people, it meant that we couldn't connect anymore. And that's something that sometimes I still occasionally feel nowadays, but let's continue into the next lesson first before I get further into that. So support is a really big deal, and it can be hard to get support, but if you have a really good solid reason as to why you're wanting to quit sugar, and if you're going to do it, then you should share that information out with everybody, because the more that you hide it, the more that you don't talk about it, the more people aren't going to listen to you when you say that you're going to quit sugar. They'll go, oh, sure, but have a cupcake today. Or, are you sure? Do you really not want the cake? And that means that you're going to be much more likely to cave in and accept the fact that, oh, maybe I'll have a little bit of sugar now. Maybe it's okay if I have a little bit today, but tomorrow I'll go straight back onto it. No, that's not how sugar works, because to be honest, sugar is an incredibly addictive substance. Yes, there have been studies in which sugar has actually been seen to be similar to drugs, in which that addictive aspect of it makes you crave it. And the more you crave it, the more upset you feel when you don't have it, which is why we get sugar highs. We also get sugar crashes. We also find that some people get really upset when they don't have the sugar. For instance, if you don't have your sugar in your coffee, or maybe you don't actually get a Coke in the afternoon. I know some of my girlfriends have actually told me this. And that actually shows that, sugar is something that is actually nowadays incredibly common and incredibly natural and part of our lives. So support, first of all. My second life lesson when it comes to sugar, would be that at that time, 3 years ago, I was not prepared to actually do a lifestyle change and go quitting sugar fully. I said, okay, I'm going to quit sugar, and then I still continued to eat around the same types of foods that I was eating, and I didn't really look into the ingredients that I bought. I didn't really look into alternatives when I went out to eat. I didn't actually look out for things that I could swap instead. So now, as someone who's been eating refined sugar-free, which means that I don't eat a lot of, cakes and chocolate and all of that, and I mostly just eat 90% of the time fruits, that means that at that time, 3 years ago, I did not have that mindset. I was like, okay, sure, I'm just going to cut it out completely. I'm not going to substitute it for anything. And that meant that my body went into withdrawal, and it went into denial, and it freaked the fudge out. So that meant that I was suddenly super laser focused on sugar, and that meant that I couldn't enjoy my time around everyone else, because I was always thinking about, oh, I want some sugar. Why can't I have some sugar? I feel so silly, I can't eat the cake. And all of these negative things were coming into my head when I was initially trying to think about quitting sugar. And so even though I stuck it out through the 30 days, afterwards, my mind was trained already to go, wow, let's go back to that regular eating pattern, because if I feel bad about not eating sugar, then shouldn't I just go back to eating sugar? Definitely not the best of things. And that means that you just need to learn to be prepared. That means understanding fully what it means to quit sugar, understand where you're going to encounter it, understand what you can do instead to eat in terms of a sugar alternative. And there are alternatives. For instance, like I said, fruit. You can also look into other substitutes, which I don't necessarily recommend, things like monk fruit or lakanto. But if that's something that you need to start out with slowly to reduce your sugar intake, that's fine, I understand. It's not easy to go cold turkey like I did. Comes to my third lesson. So the third lesson would be that you need to do your research. And this is something I mentioned in my previous video when it comes to starting an anti-inflammatory diet. But doing not enough research means that you don't understand what's going on with your body. And also you can't explain it to others when they get curious about why you're doing this. And that also gives you no facts and no power behind your decision making. So one of the things that I have since done is learned a lot more about sugar, the names that they have, so that I can educate people when I tell them that I'm quitting sugar or that I've quit sugar. I can tell them that, oh look, okay, so this is actually going to cause me inflammation if I eat this, and this is what the symptoms that appear in my body if I do eat them. And also, did you know that it's pretty much in every single product that we buy from supermarkets, sugar? And here are some names of different types of sugar. So anyone who does encounter you and goes, why aren't you eating sugar? Then you can go, here are my reasons. And they can't come back to you and go, oh, I guess, yeah, maybe you do have some scientific facts behind you. Okay, so that supports who you are when it comes to dealing with that negativity that you are going to face when you first decide you want to quit sugar. And also that research is going to boost you later on when you decide that actually, yes, I want to try this food out. I want to maybe see if there's an alternative for this. You now know, you have empowered yourself to look at labels and go, okay, I can't eat this. That's perfectly fine. Maybe that's okay, but let me try it on my body first. See how that automatically changes your perspective on the confusion whether or not, can I eat this? Can I not eat this? Is it okay to cheat? Or is it actually perfectly fine for me to eat and I can just enjoy it without worrying? Comes to my fourth life lesson. So another mistake that I made 3 years ago was that I told myself I would do 30 days of quitting sugar. 30 days, sure, great. That's basically a diet. a diet, a fad diet. And because I had a fad diet in my head, there was a sense of, oh, it's okay. I'm just going to hold out till the end. Oh, it's okay. I will have a finish date for this and then I can go back to normal. Because I had that sort of thought pattern in my head, everything that I was temporarily feeling in those 30 days, I told myself it will be fine. And I wasn't considering, if anything, my own health, because bouncing back and forth from changing your diet is not easy for anyone. Changing your diet takes a long time. It's a slow process, and that affects you deeply when you change what you eat. So going back to suddenly eating sugar after 30 days meant my body would go into overdrive. It also made me feel really sluggish. And also, it was really, really frustrating to see how much my tongue had gotten used to actually less sugar. And now everything was actually crazy sweet. And that's something that if you do quit your sugar, you're gonna actually find fruit is gonna taste ridiculously sweet already without things like chocolate or additives to it. So that's just something that I really found that wasn't helpful in the long run, because I had told myself 30 days, 30 days, 30 days, and therefore in the future I would quit. Now, after having done a year, I know this is just a milestone. 1 year milestone. I'm going to continue this for the rest of my life. I know I can do it. And I'm encouraging myself after having done a whole year of being refined sugar-free. And I can say proudly that I've done this. However, let's talk about my last point. So when it comes to all of this, like I've said in my previous video, mindset is everything, and also forgiveness is key to being able to change your sugar habits. Because I read a lot on different forums, things like Reddit, things like Quora, things like Facebook groups. A lot of people always make themselves really, really bad, make themselves feel really, really bad when it comes to breaking their habits because they've accidentally eaten sugar, or maybe they've binged on something. And the truth is, the more you make yourself upset about something that you feel like you shouldn't have done, the more your body is being trained to go, okay, I am a shitty person, or I am not a good person. And that means that that negativity is being associated to that habit. To keep a habit and to change a habit, you want to associate positivity with that habit, because you're going to make your body and your mind think, oh, I want to continue doing this because it's making me feel good. Secret. So if you want to change a bad habit, make that bad habit into something that makes you feel bad. So for instance, I focus a lot on things like, oh my gosh, maybe I ate some sugar. My body feels really tired the next day. My back really, really is sore. I can't get out of my bed without feeling pain. Those sorts of things make me remember that sugar is not a good choice to make. And that next time when I encounter it again, I'm much more likely to say, no, I don't really feel like dealing all that pain just for a momentary sweet taste in my mouth. However, on the other hand, I can think about how it's been a wonderful year in terms of my body and its ability to not feel as heavy, to not feel as painful, to not feel as sore in the mornings. And that's because I have quit sugar. See how those two positive and negative aspects actually affect a great deal in terms of what you do when you are changing this habit. And it follows back onto that sort of deadline feeling. But the last case that I would say that when you quit sugar, it's really easy to get into a cycle of problems. So you think, okay, I can't eat sugar. Okay, does that mean that I have to quit all of the fun things in my life? No, oh my gosh, no. And that is something that you have to learn and you have to slowly try it out. But when you talk to people about quitting sugar, twist it around slightly. You go, I can't eat this right now, but I'd still love to be at that thing. Or I'd love to eat that cake, but I'd rather watch you guys enjoy it for me because I know I can't eat it, and I would much rather enjoy the pleasure from seeing you guys. And this is something I say a lot to my friends because I know that they're going to really love that cake. I'm not going to tell everyone around me they can't enjoy sugar, because for most people it's perfectly fine to eat sugar. Most people are really good at quitting sugar or knowing when they want to eat sugar. And so I'm not going to be that person who dulls the room and goes, oh, sugar, that's a terrible thing. Here's my 10 commandments as to why you shouldn't eat sugar. No, I'm not going to be that spoilsport. In fact, I can just be a relaxed person who still gets invited to events and who still people want to see, because this is just a part of me, okay? So I hope that this video was useful for you when it comes to changing the mistakes that you made when you try and quit sugar. And please let me know down below if there's any type of specific thing that you think that you agree with or you disagree with. Do you find that, for instance, your habits are positive, or do you think that changing habits are very incredibly difficult? And like I said in the previous video, if this is something that you'd like to see more in the future, please let me know down below, because I know sugar is a big problem for many people, and I know that if I can help you guys, that would be a fantastic thing. And I really think that sugar actually overall makes you feel a lot better by not eating it. So just saying, if you want to quit sugar, I will try and assist you in the best way I can. I will also leave a link to some of the resources that I was reading during that period of 3 years when I was educating myself. And also I'll leave a link down below in terms of my website, where I've put up all of the names of the different types of refined sugar that I know personally, so that when you go to the shops and you're looking at a label, you can actually identify for yourself what is refined sugar. And to also put in a note, refined sugar is different from just natural sugars. Natural sugars exist in your fruit and your vegetables. That's why things like tomatoes taste sweet. But when it comes to refined sugar, that's the processed stuff that has been added into your diet, and that's the stuff that you really want to avoid, and that's what I'm talking about throughout all of this video. So hope you guys enjoy, and please remember to hit that like button if this was useful for you, and that subscribe and bell button so that you can see me next time when I post up my next video. Take care, lovelies, and bye. Mwah.